Hi, this is John Barton from JB Cases. So very quickly, I'm going to show you guys why we don't do the multi-tube cases anymore. We decided a month or so ago that we just didn't want to do it anymore, and here's the reason why we don't. Excuse me for a second. So I'm going to grab a cue here and kind of give you an idea of why. So these two cases right here are the same capacity. Each one of them holds 3 butts and 6 shafts. Here's the deal though. The one over here on the right is way bigger and way heavier. And it's not as flexible at holding cues as the one on the left. So before I get into both of these cases real quick, I just want to mention something. I want to give a shout out to Jim Murnack. The pocket design that you see on here, this was created by Jim Murnack on his Murnack Q cases. We had a discussion many years ago, and Jim was creating cases at the time that were sort of similar to like the in-stroke look and stuff, and I had mentioned, you know, that I always like to come up with new pocket stuff, and then so he said, hold my beer, and came up with a really crazy kind of pocket scheme here with a lot of zippers on it, a lot of different compartments. And Jim is not making cases anymore, so a customer asked us if we would do a similar pocket to the way that Jim did it, and so we created this. So which leads us to this. The customer decided that he had to have the multiple tube case, and so we made it. But you know, when I do the multi-tubes, I like to put padding inside. I like it to be secure the way we do it, so the cues don't rattle. The problem with that though is that the cues are all different. They're different sizes. They're different wraps, things going on, and it's hard to do the padding inside of a tube to be flexible enough where it'll fit a wide range of cues. So some cues will go in nice and smooth, easy. Other cues will be a lot tighter and a lot harder to deal with. And a few cues that are real skinny, you know, will just be, even though they'll stay in, they'll still rattle a little bit more than we like. So with that in mind, you know, I've really, the last 10 years or so, I've really preferred to do what we call the UltraPad interior, because it surrounds all of the cues with a tough plastic tube, but the inside, the guts of the case, is all fabric and foam. So it's just like any other high-end case that you would get for anything else. It's a tough exterior shell and a nice cushy foam padded, form-fitted, protective layer inside, or you know, a protective environment inside that will stop the cues from moving, stop the cues from banging against each other, but is flexible enough to accept different sizes of cues. So let me just show you guys what that means, and I'll get into the weight here in just a second. This is the 3x6 that's tubes. So check this out. See it? Look at the footprint on it compared to my face. See that? Now, this case right here, magnetic flap on top. Open it up, you'll see we've got 3 tubes in here and 6 shafts. So that's all great. Now, look at this one in comparison right here. So I'll hold both of these up side by side so you guys can really see the difference in the footprint on both of them. And this one here, this one also holds 3 butts and 6 shafts. See that? Now take a look at this. Take a look at the difference in these two. Oh. See that? Look at the size difference in both of those, and the weight difference is crazy on there. So this one obviously has a much smaller footprint right here. It's a lot lighter, a lot easier to handle, and it's pretty much just as protective. So let me show you real quick the cues. If I stick a cue in here, you can feel that it goes down pretty snug. right there. You know, I mean, it's not impossible to get out. Just this particular, see, here we go. This particular cue has, I picked this one because it has a little bit thicker butt than normal. So if I reach in here and I try to get it out, you know, I've really got to work at it a little bit to get it out. Now it comes out. Now this will loosen up a little bit, you know, so it'll get a little bit easier to put it in and take it out. But the point of it is like if this had like a one of those sticky wraps on it, or if it had like a elephant skin wrap or something, you know, one of those wraps that's a little grippy, man, it would be too tough to deal with here on that. So it's hard for me to account for every type of cue. Now, if I take that same cue and I put it in here, you'll see how easy this is in comparison. Just goes down that easy to pull it out, and you still get all the benefit of the cue not rattling and not coming out. So that's why I like this case. I like doing this interior. Plus, the other benefit here is that this interior is easy to take out. So if anything's wrong, I just pull it out and it's easy to replace. No problem. Fabric and foam in a cassette type of format right there. And so if there's ever a problem, you don't have to send your case back to me. You can just get a new interior. You know, so the other day I had a guy call me and he said somebody walked by and spilled their beer into his case. And so all he has to do is get a new interior. That's it. This one here, forget it. No chance. So anything happens here, anything falls into it, you got to take the whole case apart to be able to get inside of it. You got to take the bottom off and get inside, and then if there's any issue that you have to take the whole tubes out, it's a really laborious process to do that. Very labor intensive. So now let's get to the weight. So you've seen that. This is the big one here weighs and this is without straps. The leather straps are going to add like another pound to this, but without the straps, this is 10 pounds exactly is what it's coming out to right there. And then this one, the one with the UltraPad, much lighter, much smaller footprint. This one comes out to 5.8 pounds. So 4 pounds difference, 4.2 pounds lighter with the same capacity, same pocket sizes, same everything on here, only way lighter, and you get pretty much the same protection. You know, now I'll tell you this, when you have tubes, the type of tubes we use, because not everybody uses the same type of tubes. When you have the type of tubes we use, you do have plastic around every single part. So, and if it's bundled together correctly, you're going to have a stronger bond there, and you'll have more impact resistance. But for 99% of what happens with cases, like one of my customers has a dually, and he ran over his JB case with this interior, with the UltraPad interior, and it didn't hurt his cues. Now, of course, I'm not going to say that will be the same result with you and your cues. So don't go out and start running over your cases with cars just to prove me wrong, okay? Because obviously there could be other factors there that I don't know about. But anyway, you know, he likes to tell that story about running over his case with his truck and his cues having survived. So my point there is that for like 99% of the situations that these two cases might find themselves in, the protection of the UltraPad with our plastic tube that we do, our PVC tubing, is going to be enough to protect the cues adequately from just about anything they're going to face. So for that reason, you know, I don't feel like that the little bit more added protection of multiple tubes surrounding the cues makes up for all of the benefits that you get by going the other way with the UltraPad interior. And you know, as a case maker, honestly, it's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass to build a multiple tube case with the same type of protection and ease of use and everything that I can do with the padded interior case. So I mean, I built in-stroke cases for a long time that are multiple tubes, and you know, a lot of them are still working. They're still good, but in-stroke themselves have taken out the padding that I put in 20 years ago. There's hardly any padding in there because of the fact that with today's modern cues, with their sticky grips, rubber grips, and so on, they just don't work with that amount of padding in the tubes. So you can't have it both ways. So I don't think that the trade-off should be to sacrifice protection when there's another way to build it where you can get almost all of the protection that you would get with a lot more benefits. So anyway, that's why we don't build multiple tube cases anymore. And I apologize if you want one from us and we say no. It's one of the few times that we say no to custom, but we just had to make that decision that it's just not worth the hassle anymore to try to build these cases and have to deal with all the different types of cues out there. So that's why. So I apologize for that. One last thing, a lot of times people will say they build multiple tube cases, and the fact of it is, they'll say they can do it, and they'll say it's lightweight. The fact of it is that they're using very thin wall tubes, almost like poster tubes, where you go to Walmart and you buy a poster and you got that really flexible tube on there. They use that, and that is weaker than what we use for our UltraPad. So there's no way that those tubes are stronger. You can bundle those together, and then you can stomp on it and you'll splinter all those tubes. You'll just crush them. And the fact of that is just because there's tubes surrounding the cues doesn't mean that those tubes are strong and good either. So you got to be careful about that, you know. So don't go out there and tell people, oh well, you know, so and so case maker uses tubes and his cases are better because he uses tubes and they're lightweight, because that's not necessarily true, right? You need to actually know what type of material is being used to house the cues in there. So just because you see 6 round holes in there, you cannot assume that the actual material that is used is going to be strong enough to meet your expectation should that case ever get in a situation where you would expect the tubes to protect it. So for in-stroke, for example, when I was there, we used really good PVC tubing, similar to Schedule 40 that you would use here. Actually, ours was even a little bit better because it wasn't the type that would get brittle and crack easily in cold weather. So, you know, I really went out of my way back then to find the kind of tubing that I thought would withstand a lot of impact and a lot of environmental factors. We do the same thing now, you know, for the cases that we have built with the tubes. So, you know, there's a lot to this as far as what materials are used to protect your cues. And so I recommend, you know, highly that you ask around. You can ask me and I'll tell you the truth about it. I mean, I'm not trying to knock another case maker, but I'll be honest with you as to what I found out if I happen to have dissected one of their cases, and if I know that they don't use tubes that are strong enough to really withstand a lot of impact, I'll tell you that, because I think that you have a right to know as a customer. So anyway, as I said, our tubes, pure PVC, very strong and lighter weight. The whole the UltraPad interior, I think, is the best way to go. I can be super flexible with that interior. I can adjust the padding. I can adjust the hole patterns, the cavity patterns. I can adjust the height. I can do so many things with that, and the benefits just totally outweigh doing the multiple tube cases, and that's why we don't do it anymore. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. This is John Barton from JB Cases. We'll be happy to build you a case. With that small exception, we'll be happy to build it exactly like you want it and provide you with a super protective case. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.